Yeah, so lovely day outside, beautiful Las Vegas. Debbie West on Cliff's Notes.
Here I am.
Yeah, she's the first one on Cliff's Notes and the Misfits.
That's a pretty cool honor to have, I would
Back
say.
by popular demand.
Woo! Here she is.
Well, that's good to have you back on the show.
Thank you.
And tell me something notable that's going on in your life, in your work life, personal life.
Well, I would say still pretty fresh as Chief Operating Officer. So that I know has been maybe a little more than a year. That's something I would say is still pretty fresh and kind of working kind of aside you. I think we sometimes say I'm the yin to the yang. You know, I'm the introvert, you're the extrovert, kind of thing like that. So I would say that's one thing.
How's your boss? Is he what's he like?
Well, yeah, you said this is only Cliff's Notes version, so I'm not sure if we've got enough time to really unpack that. But
we need let's call in Royce from the Misfits.
Exactly.
Can we, director? Can we do a call? Be like, let's get Royce in.
So that's still, I would say, something pretty new is. Even though I've been in tungsten, the tungsten industry for almost 3 decades now, I would say, and I know a lot about tungsten. I would say still even stepping in as the COO for Tungco.
Yeah.
I'm kind of still learning something almost every day, trying to find ways to kind of use maybe some of my past and my expertise to kind of help, bring new things to the Tungco group as well.
Yeah. So when you onboarded and we recruited you, you came in, your focus was really more towards president really of Lineage.
That's right.
And specifically like going to be more of what we would call our finished products. So less scrap driven. It could be scrap based.
That's right.
But it was more finished product, right?
Yes. Yep.
So now you've been promoted into COO role. So talk a little bit about what that's like. Even from how you onboarded or maybe even just other roles that you've had in other companies.
Yeah. So I would say that I feel that the COO role is somewhat comparable to a role I would have had in my past. When I worked at GTP, one of my final roles with them, where I was like plant manager, operations director over a business unit there, and so you're kind of seeing all aspects of the operations, and you got to make sure that you are shipments got to get out when they're supposed to. You got to make sure that things are running as they should, quality is good, all of those sort of things. So I feel like being able to use some of that experience is helping me in this role.
Yeah. Do you feel like, how is that different though? Like from being the director of operations versus being chief operating officer? Like I think you're kind of overseeing, really between me and you, there's not much. It was me as the CEO, you as the COO. If we look at our org chart, like you have a ton of stuff that falls under your oversight.
I would say that from the COO role, I probably should be, or I feel like I am a little bit more making, like from the strategic side, trying to make things happen. So if we talk at that C-suite level, we make a decision, hey, we want to go this direction, we want to go after this sort of new process, new project, then I kind of feel that as that COO, it's like, okay, let me take this ball. I got the guys and gals underneath me. Let's make these kind of things happen, and kind of orchestrating that is how I would say, making sure it gets done.
Interested to hear what do you find as a challenge for you? Maybe it's just within the role. Maybe it's something that you just find a challenge with that you're like, oh, this is a little bit of we use working frustration within our organization a little bit tied to the working genius. But is there anything that's kind of like caught you off guard? Just curious.
I would say from who I am, I think I'm sometimes like, okay, let's make the decision and go. So when not you and I, like when we collectively as a group, sometimes we're talking through some things and I feel like, okay, are we not like, did we make a decision? Can we go? I think that's a little bit of a frustration just from me and how I kind of operate, where I need to just remember to take a pause, take a break. It's okay to maybe have a little bit more slow pace at some of these things.
Yeah, when you had lunch, or you and I had lunch when I was on my sabbatical.
Yes.
And I'm listening. I'm just like, all right, just I'm here. I'll listen. You know, talk through some different things. I was like, oh my God, I feel like she is reading my brain of how I would feel in that seat, because you were filling in for me so much while I was gone.
Right.
So it is interesting how you can have such a high-powered team, which I feel like we do have,
yes.
And very capable. I don't feel like we have anybody on our team who's in the wrong seat. I feel like they're highly capable, highly driven, highly motivated, but it can be somewhat challenging.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah,
it can be somewhat challenging when it's like, where is the decision at?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, thankfully we have made quite a few decisions. So let's kind of talk about maybe Project 74, the Zinc project. Yeah. Let's give us a little update on where all that's at.
So I would say from our Zinc reclaim, we have brought the process online. We have made some zinc reclaim powder, working on some qualification with the just making sure the powders are going to work for what our needs are in that aspect. And so that's been fun. It's been fun to see it from concept to actually happening. So that's been good.
And that's something that wasn't on our radar whenever you came to work.
No, that's correct.
That's just something that fell in our lap from somebody else that we were working with.
Yes.
So that's a total new thing, right?
Correct. Yeah. Yes, exactly. So that's been fun. I mean, we're not there yet, clearly, but that's been a good thing to happen. And then from the Project 74 side, seeing that kind of go from concept to plan to now looking to be reality. That's really going to be a neat thing to be a part of, kind of a proud thing to say that I'm a part of, and looking to, help the domestic producers, I would say, and helping to keep some of those units here in the States and being able to make a difference, I would say.
Yeah, one of the things that I think is surprising when we talk about Project 74 is the lack of capacity in recycling. And that's not just in the tungsten industry. I mean, it's in aluminum, it's in copper. We're part of the MI2 in Kentucky.
That's right.
Kentucky being one of the largest, actually Kentucky is the largest metals producer in the United States by state. So it is interesting that there can be so much focus on recycling as a country, even as a Western world, but still not have all the pieces in play to say, okay, well, if we capture the raw materials, now what are we going to do with those?
Correct.
And so I feel like I'm also proud of the Project 74 because we're helping open up a new avenue. We're not necessarily reinventing the wheel. It's not new technology, right?
That's right. No, correct. I think sodium tungstate, our products like that have been made. They are integral parts of going through the whole tungsten chain. But when you think through some of the capacities that they have here domestically, it's not maybe some of their niche specifically. Are they some of those folks able to really take their resources and devote to that? Where I think this is definitely going to be a way to help solve a problem for those folks. Yeah.
Now, along that topic, we're hearing a lot of conversation about APT.
Haha.
Not ATP.
Not ATP. Yeah, I have seen that a few times. I'm like, oh, no, it's not apartment. Also, APT does not equal apartment either. That is true. Yeah.
So you and myself and Ryan, we were having a conversation the other day, and there's a lot of people writing about ammonium paratungstate or APT. I mean, it was forever before I've never seen so much writing about it, right? But now you can be on LinkedIn, you can be on X, all you have to do is Google it, and it's just like on everything.
Sure.
So what would you say to the average publisher or writer who is writing a lot of this information? Because there's a lot of information gathering, but I'm seeing a lot of misinformation. And I'm not saying that misinformation is that it's deliberate, but it's just not accurate. So what would you say to some of the information that you're seeing out there that maybe is not quite? kosher?
Well, I would say that it's definitely a science to make APT. So I see I feel like some of the articles you see or some of the things like that, it almost makes it feel like, oh, this is a commodity. It should be readily available. It should be real simple to do. But when it's not. It's definitely a science. It's a science behind it. You've got to be able to multiple feeds. You got to know your chemistries, your pHs, your gravities, all that stuff. You got to deal with waste streams. So there's a lot into it where it isn't like it's like you're at your Walmart and you can just go up there and select find it and select it. But
I've even seen things where people are like, well, let's just cut off China. Let's cut this group off. Let's cut that group off. And we'll just stand up our own APT plants. And this, and this, and it's really not that simple. I think the obvious answer is that if it had been that simple all along, we would have never been become so reliant on China for APT coming out of there. If it was really that easy, if it was that simple.
Correct. I would definitely support that. How would I want to add to that? I think also, looking through some of it, there's mix issues that you need to be thinking through if you're trying to build your capacity for primary materials, so the concentrates, versus if you are trying to set it up for using recycling materials. I know I've seen some things recently with, there's let's just keep the scrap here and everybody could use it. The smelters can just use it. And I think there's a little bit of misnomer to that, because several of them, it'd be great if that was how that could work. But there are idiosyncrasies, I would say, for processing some of those materials that it's probably not that simple to do.
Yeah, you said we even used the term the other day, a little black magic.
Yes, that's right.
And somebody might say, well, no, it's clear, it's science. If we could do it in a lab, then we can do it at scale. Well, okay, good luck. Let me know how that works out for you.
Correct.
Because, the plants who do, the bigs who run this, we'll leave their names out of it for now. But if you're in the tungsten industry, there's a half a dozen. They do it really well, but it's still complex for them. And some of them have been doing it for decades, and they still face challenges. Why? Because most of what we're doing in the West is dealing with scrap. And so if, like what we're talking about doing with Project 74, and we're trying to reshore these grades that are leaving the country. Sometimes they're leaving the country because they're a little bit harder to process. But just making sure we keep those isn't going to be the solution. We have to have the capacity and the technology to be able to produce those to get that into what we're going to do as a sodium tungstate. So just give us the nerd out on that just a little bit. Like, what's the difference in sodium tungstate and APT? Like, just give us the Cliff's notes on that real quick.
So sodium tungstate is kind of that first intermediate. When you take some of your different tungsten raw materials, you're going to first introduce them with some chemicals, and that is pretty much the first thing you form is sodium tungstate. You're typically going to still have some impurities in it, and your tungsten concentration is going to be in the range, the Tunc WO3 content, maybe in the range of 65-70% WO3. Ammonia paratungstate, though, that is kind of a little bit further down the stream. So you've got the sodium tungstate, and then now you have to find a way to convert that. So you need to extract the tungsten away from the sodium, and then you strip it. Then you have to strip the tungsten with ammonia, and you form ammonium tungstate solution.
Sounds really easy.
Right?
Right.
Totally. I'm sure there's just an app for that or something along those lines that you can do. But so you do a couple of things. You do some further purification when you make ammonia paratungstate. You're going to separate a few other impurities, and you're going to increase your tungsten concentration even higher. And then the next step after ammonia paratungstate would be going towards pure tungsten metal powder, or then tungsten carbide, etc.
So at some point, we talk about crystallizing it, because in this whole process from a sodium tungstate, it goes from, it's hard to think about metal going to a liquid form, because when
That's
we say
true.
metal, we're talking this right here. So it's hard to fathom that this water in my glass could actually be a certain percentage of tungsten. Well, actually, I remember Rob had a bottle in his office, and it said, "Do not drink tungsten," because there was a certain percentage of tungsten. So for us to be able to get tungsten back into a usable state, we actually get it liquid at some point, right?
That's correct. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that happens both going into sodium tungstate and APT, or not?
That's correct. Yeah. So sodium tungstate, some people will like to have that crystallized. So depending on what you're going to end up doing with the sodium tungstate, if you're trying to turn it into ammonia paratungstate, you probably want to keep it in a liquid form. You do all your chemical purification steps to it. You kind of do the black magic, and then you make the ammonium tungstate solution. But to your point, to kind of get to a point where you can go back to making something maybe solid, or you do need to crystallize it out. So you have a crystallization process, then you have like a drying process, a blending process, and then you make an APT crystal, or you make ammonia paratungstate APT. So it's a white powder. You should not eat that either. So it's not sugar, it's not flour.
Or snort it.
I can remember, APT, one looks like sugar, and then there's also ammonia metatungstate. I don't want to get us down a rabbit hole on that. One kind of looks more like flour, one kind of looks more like sugar from the granular size.
I thought you were going to go with cocaine.
Sometimes you're thinking when you want to travel with some of those samples or something, you got to kind of be a little bit worried about TSA.
We call that blend the Pablo Escobar blend.
Could be.
Well, Debbie, let me just say thanks for coming on Cliff's Notes. But
thank you for having me.
I am super honored that we're working together. You took a big leap of faith.
Yes.
You didn't only leave the company that you were working with. The original plan wasn't for you to move to Madisonville.
That's correct.
It was like, we'll do the distance thing, because you were working with Lineage. It was in Houston. You were going to travel quite a bit. So when you were like, hey, I think I'm moving to Madisonville, I was like, are you drunk?
Yeah.
Thank you for your whole family's commitment, for coming down there, and super proud of what you're doing, what we're doing together. And I am too excited about Project 74. I think it's honorable and also exciting for the industry.
Right.
And I look forward to many years of us working together in the future, as long as you can put up with your boss.
Thank you. Yeah, there are some days. No, I'm kidding. No, I appreciate it as well. Thank you. And it's kind of been interesting to see how the career has kind of taken a little bit different spin than, to your point, where maybe we thought it might go originally. And I will say, don't be afraid to take that leap, take that jump when opportunities arise. So.
All right. Well, thank you for all you do. You do a great job. Appreciate you. Thanks for being on Cliff's Notes.
Appreciate it.
Cliff's Notes, Cliff's Notes, Cliff's Notes, Cliff's Notes.